just came on here just to talk to you guys a bit and to remind you guys, what are you going to do about it? And, you know, I want to keep that fresh in your mind. As I talked about last time, man, you can complain or you can change. And you can't, well, you can do both. But complaining is not going to make any change in your life. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said before, and I'll move on from this, you're at where you're at today because you're choosing to stay there. And I know that might hurt a little bit, but it's the truth. You know, somebody might have brought you there, pain might have brought you there, but you're choosing to stay there at this moment. And when you understand that, it gives you the power to do something about your life. A lot of people just see like the mountaintop, like of my life or just other people's lives, especially with social media. You just see like the beautiful part of it, if that makes any sense. You know, you see the highlights. There's a lot of hard work that's put in that a lot of people don't see. A lot of people just want that mountaintop, right? They just want the mountaintop. They just want to be on the screen, but they don't want to put in the work behind the scenes. They want the mountaintop, but they don't want to climb. You know, they don't want to go through that struggle. They don't want to go through that pain. They don't want to make those mistakes. They don't want to go through the hard times, but they want the mountaintop, and it's not possible. I was talking about it yesterday, how I see it so much that so many people want to, they're in love with perception, right? And I get it. You know, the world is always going to have a perception of you. I understand that, but I think it's your responsibility to make sure you don't allow the perception of you, if it's not true, to become your reality when it's not your reality. And what I mean by that is that, you know, in my shoes, right? So many people ask me like, Trent, why are you so hands-on? Like at events, like why do you get behind the counter and, you know, help sell merchandise? You know, why do you still like ship out shirts? Why do you do this and why do you do that? Can't you have somebody do it? Yeah, I can. But at the same time, I want to do it. I see it so much, like people want to look successful, right? And they feel like they can't do certain things because it doesn't look successful, right? So I know people that be like, nah, I ain't selling no merchandise. Nah, I'm not helping out. You know, if you ever come to my event, one thing I take pride on is like helping. You know what I'm saying? Like I help my team. Like I still carry the bag. You know, all these things, man, because like this is my vision. And I think a lot of times we like give our visions to other people. Like we let other people like start to care about, you know, well, not even care about, but we like delegate so much that we put our vision in the hands of other people way too quick because we want to have a manager. We want to have this. We want to have that. And I know this message might not be for everybody, so take what you need, leave what you don't. But, you know, that happened to me. You know, I started to put my vision into other people's hands, and RehabTime was going a direction that I never intended for it to go like a few years back. And I had to grab that back, and I had to remember to stay connected. And so, like, shipping shirts is it's not hard. It's easy, but it's a lot, right? You guys like order tons of shirts. But that's why I started with RehabTime with that. And so I get to see every single name. I have help at times, you know, that helps me ship out, but I get to see every single name, and it just makes me more appreciative of the support, like, and it makes me appreciative of the progression. And I just want to say out there to somebody out there that might need it, just stay connected. Stay connected. Don't get disconnected from your vision because you feel like you have to put on this perception of looking successful. Like I see it online so much. It's like, you know, oh, I have to post certain pictures to look successful. I have to get around certain people to look successful. I have to do this. And you fall in love with the perception and you ignore your reality. When you fall in love with the perception, you're not putting in the work. You're not putting in the work no more to actually change your reality. So like, I want to say, forget what people think. Like, I don't care what people think. I'm not interested in what people think. I don't care if people say, you know, you don't look a certain way because you do that. I don't care. All I care about is serving. All I care about is taking RehabTime to a place that it's never been before. All I care about is putting out the best I can put out. That's it. And so however it looks to other people, I really don't care. I don't. I just wanted to share that. It was on my heart. And I talked about it yesterday. And I just think we live in a society now where everybody's wrapped up in perception. It's like, oh, you have to dress a certain way, you have to look a certain way. You shouldn't post that because it doesn't make you look successful. Like, I've had people suggest that to me, and I'm like, I'll do what I want to do, and I'm not worried about pleasing people, and I'm not worried about my perception. I'm worried about changing my reality if that's what needs to be changed. I'm worried about being who God created me to be. I'm worried about being the best me I can be. And I can't be the best me I can be if I'm sitting there trying to please who people want me to be. You can't do both. So I want you to understand that. You can't do both. And so it's okay. It's okay to not have it all together. It's okay to struggle. But as long as you're progressing, as long as you can look back and say, man, like, things have changed. Like, we were looking, this is so random, but people who ship stuff, like, you would understand this process. We were looking back. It was a Facebook memory, just in the process of like RehabTime merch. Like, if you follow me since the beginning, RehabTime merch is like what started RehabTime. I started selling shirts for C. Martin on my past was my first shirt, and that started when I started RehabTime. But I remember, like, I would send text messages out. I would post a status on Facebook, and I would say, hey, if you want this shirt, text this number, right? So they would text the number. I would then go on PayPal and send a request to fulfill the order. Out of 20 people, maybe 3 people might have responded, right? Then from there, I would get the packages, write each name on the package, then I would go to the post office, and then I would have to stand in line. They have to scan each package. And I'm like, man, I came a long way from that. So now I have, of course, a system where it just comes out, whatever the post office picks it up. But I'm saying that, and I know it might not be like shirts for you or whatever, but I'm saying that to tell you to stay hands-on. If it's like your business or your vision, whatever it is that you're doing, don't get so far hands-off that you lose connection with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm all about connecting as much as I can. Yes, I can't respond to every message no more, but if you know me, a lot of people will tell you, like, I'll respond. I try my best. And somebody asks me a question, I try to answer as much as I can. But it just makes you appreciative of your journey, because sometimes in your journey, you can get discouraged, right? And it's like, man, like, I'm not progressing, or things aren't going right, or, people aren't following me, or people aren't liking what I do. And you start to get discouraged. But then when you look back and you see, like, wait a minute, yeah, I might not be where I want to be, but at the same time, I'm so much further along from where I used to be. And that's what it's about. And so I want to encourage everybody on here today to continue to fall in love with progression, whatever that looks like. Maybe it's a spiritual journey. Maybe it is a company that you have, or a vision that you have you want to start, an idea, whatever it may be. Maybe it's a physical thing. To be even more transparent with you guys, I'm on a physical journey right now. I made a commitment to really take care of my physical being, my physical life, what I put in my body and everything, until my mother got healed. When she got healed, my why changed, and I fell off. And I fell off a bit, and I fell off a lot of it, to be honest with you. And I was running from my reality. And I talk about this a lot, right? Running from your reality. I was running from it. I was trying to ignore it. But what you run from doesn't mean that thing's going to change. It's going to stay there. Sometimes it chases you, but when you come back to it, it's still there. So for me, I was running from my reality. So what does that mean? I wasn't working out. I wasn't trying to work out. I didn't want to step on a scale, even though I don't really believe in stepping on scales. But I went to work out with my son, and I was tapped, maybe the worst shape I've been in my life. And I'm still in good shape for, I guess, for most people, but for myself, like I said, I'm not worried about most people, but for myself, I was tapped, man. My son was kicking my butt. And I stepped on the scale for the first time in a long time. I was like, wow. And instead of being discouraged, I said, well, it's time to get it. What you gonna do about it, Trent? It's time to get it. And, I say that to tell you that it's okay to fall off. It's okay. It's okay to have setbacks. It's all right. Because you can always do something about it. You can always do something about it. And that setback made me even hungrier, right? It made me even hungrier. Because you got an option. You can allow the setback to hold you back forever, or you can allow the setback to prepare a major comeback. And I decided to let it prepare a major comeback with my life. And, I'm hungrier than ever. And not just in my physical being, but my spiritual, my mental, all of that, man. And, I just share that, man, just to tell you to keep going, keep pushing, and be honest with yourself, and don't run from your reality. Like, face your reality, because the reality is that things aren't going to change until you make a change. And if things do change without your change, then that change probably isn't going to be something that you like. Make decisions, because if you don't decide, life will decide for you. When life decides for you, it's usually not something that you will want. You can allow that to set you back or hold you back, prayer made you come back. That's how you got to look at it. That's how I look at life. Like, if I could just, like, people always ask my mindset, like, that's it right there. Perspective. Is it my power or my prison? That's the question I always ask myself. And sometimes my perspective is my prison, and I have to change that. But for the majority of my life, my perspective is my power. And so when I come to an obstacle, I know I have two choices. That's it. Two choices. I can allow that situation, that time, to define the rest of my life in a negative way, or I can allow it to refine my life in a positive way. And see, what does that mean, right? So some people, maybe it's a relationship, maybe, it's getting fired, maybe it's, I don't know, a lost dream, whatever. And a lot of people allow the chapter to define the rest of their life. They allow that chapter to become their identity. You ever met somebody that you knew and then they went through something and they totally changed who they are, and they became the pain that they went through, and it changed their life forever? Well, that's a situation when a person allows that chapter to become their identity. Have you ever met a person that has went through something, and by going through it, they became better because of it? That's a person that is letting that chapter refine their life. And those are the two options that you have, right? Complain or change. Let it define the rest of your life, or let it refine your life, right? You can do nothing about it, or you can do something about it. And that's life. And I don't try to figure out, like, the how, because I know in moving forward, the how will reveal itself at some point. I just try to understand the why I can't stay here, the why I have to move forward, the why I can't surrender to this pain, and I move my life forward. And that's it. Like, my mindset, people always ask, like, how do you think so deep? I don't really think deep. I think common sense, just being honest with you. And I just know that you have to make a decision, because if you don't make a decision, life will do it for you. And I've been on the other side of that fence where I decided to do nothing with my life or nothing about the situation. And it was very hard to get out of that mindset once I got in it. And I told myself, I never want to get into that, right? I never want to, go back to that. And so just think about that when you come to situations, like, why, and I'll break it down like this. When you come to a hard situation in a fork in the road, or a challenge or an obstacle, you can ask yourself, that question, what am I going to do about it? Or am I going to do anything about it? If you choose to not do nothing about it, then I would ask yourself this, because there's times in life you're going to choose to do nothing about it. You're a human being. There's times in my life where I choose to do nothing about it. There's times in my life where my life sucks, to be honest with you. Like I said, I don't stay there. And so the reason I don't stay there, because when I ask myself, why am I not doing anything about it? Why is my mindset right now my prison? And I ask myself those questions. And I dig and I dig and I dig, and I try to find an answer to shift my mindset from going from a prison perspective to a power perspective. Somebody asked, was your business always faith-based, or did you start RehabTime to help people with their lives and then bring God into it? Well, you got to understand, that's a good question. You got to understand, when I started RehabTime, it was never like to start an organization. Like, you guys that know my story know that. Like, RehabTime was for me. It wasn't for anybody else. RehabTime was for me changing my life. So when I started RehabTime, like, it was me bettering my life, mind, body, and soul, because I was in a bad place. And so it was faith-based for sure, because that was one of my areas in my life that I wanted to improve, was my spiritual walk. That was the main area of my life I wanted to improve. And so I never had intentions of being a speaker or inspiring nobody. Like, I never wanted to do this, ever. It wasn't like I went into this like, okay, this is the plan. I'm going to, like, go across the world and speak to people. Like, that wasn't it. The whole goal of Rehab Time was to help my life, was to save my life. That's it. And over time, as I started to share my journey and, things happened and, connections were made and people allowed me, to come speak here and there, whatever it may be, as I started to share my journey, it grew into what it is today. And it's still the same thing. Like, it's just me sharing my heart, me letting y'all know that, I have struggles too, just like you. I have so many questions just like you, but I know what God has done for my life, period. I know that he has a plan for my life, even though I don't understand it at times, but I'm there to trust it. And that's all that I want to do is I want to help people not give up. I want to let you know that you have worth. That's it. That's my whole message with Rehab Time. Like, I don't claim to be the person who's a guru. I don't claim to be the person who, like, is the expert. That's just not me. Like, I'm not that guy. I don't want to be that guy. I'm just the person that shares his heart. Whether people agree with it or don't agree with it, whether people say, I'm not this or I'm that, I don't care about the labels, period, because I know my heart and I know the people that God has allowed my messages to touch and help. And that's all that I'm focused on. That's all that I'm focused on. And I think more people should be like that. I think more people should not strive. I never strive for a title. I never strive to be known. If you know me, you know that I like crowds make me nervous. And it's crazy that I speak in crowds so much. I'm uncomfortable in crowds, but I've learned to be comfortable over time. But, when I first started speaking, like, anxiety would hit. I'm saying? I'm not a person that likes to be around a lot of people. What I'm doing is really what God has called me to do. And I honestly, at first, did not want to accept that calling in my life. So this is not some planned thing. This is not some whatever. But once I understood that this was for my life, and once I understood that this is what I was created to do, and I really understood that, that's when the vision became clearer, and yeah, that was a great question. I always thought about speaking on what I've been through, and maybe you can help somebody. I encourage that, man. I want you to understand, I've never been formally trained to be a speaker, like, ever. And I'm not saying you can't do that, but I never did that. Like, I don't have some type of, like, cadence of speaking that's trained. That's why I don't talk proper all the time. Like, that's just not what whatever. So everybody has a story. Everybody's been through something. And I don't know the level that you're called to help people. I think the purpose of our lives is to use our experiences and what we've been through to help other people, and when you look at purpose like that, because I see it a lot, right? So many people say, I'm searching for my purpose. I'm searching for my purpose. And I feel like you're searching for something that you already have. Like, you are purpose, and understand, like, you can help somebody at any time of the day. Like, you can come on here right now and put a comment to somebody and help somebody through your experience. So you are purpose. And the avenues, so Rehab Time, I'm purpose. Rehab Time is just the avenue where I'm able to bring that purpose out to help other people, right? But I can do that if I had a job. I can do that when I coach my kids for AAU. There's so many avenues where you can use your life to help other people's lives. And you have to understand, your transparency will lead to someone else's transformation. And that's why I try to be as transparent as I can. I don't want you to look at me as somebody who has it all together, who has it all figured out, because I don't, right? I've learned a lot of things on this journey. I've experienced a lot of things on this journey. And, I'm just projecting how I feel and what I've been through and what I know for my truth to you guys, whether you accept it or you don't accept it. And I think we all have that ability to do that. And, some people are called to, speak to many. Some people are called to speak to few. Who knows? But you always can share your story, is my point. And I feel like we should all do that, because we should all help our neighbor. And if I can help my neighbor not make the same mistakes that I make, or if I can give my neighbor some advice that I might be a little bit more educated in, I think that's what life is all about. You know, if I can help my neighbor build a close relationship with God through my story, through my struggle, through my embarrassment, I'm all for that. And so, you know, I think the title motivate. That's why I don't like that title, motivational speaker. Like, I'm just a person, man, that's trying to share my heart. That's it. How do I start what God wants me to do? God has a call on my life, but I have fear that's keeping me from doing what I need to do. And I feel like I can't do it, but God is making me uncomfortable. I want to ask you, where's that fear coming from? You know, I ask the question why a lot to myself when I go through my fearful moments. And, you know, fear is prevention. If you're a believer, God doesn't give us a spirit of fear. But fear is prevention from taking whatever it is to another level. And I would just ask you why. Why do you feel fear? And realizing that fear isn't real. And that fear is keeping you from helping other people, keeping you from your growth, keeping you from your peace. And, you know, maybe it's the fear of being judged. That's the number one fear people have that I've experienced, and I've talked to people a lot, that I had at one point. The fear of being judged, the fear of not being perfect, the fear of people, you know, chaining you to your past. That's why we just came out with the shirt, See My Heart, Not My Past Again. That's why RehabTime was built off of that. You guys watched my live a few nights ago. You understand that. But, you know, the fear of falling short, all these things, man. You're an imperfect human being, just like the person that's going to judge you. As long as you know that you're wholeheartedly trying your best to become better, to become stronger, do it. It's nothing to be afraid of. You know, people are going to judge you and talk about you regardless. You know, they're going to be, you can't please people. That's something that you can't control. And so one thing that helps me when it comes to fear, especially the fear of judgment, the fear of people's opinions, is I ask myself this question: can I control how they feel about me? And the answer is no. I might can influence it a little bit, you know, by how I treat people, but I can't control how someone feels about me. I can't control what someone says about me. I mean, what someone says about me. I can't control those things. And so I don't try to control the things that I can't control. I focus on the things that I can control. And the things that I can't control, I pray about it, period. But I realize that, you know, people are going to judge you regardless. And when you understand that, you might as well live your best life. You might as well, you know, bring that voice inside of you and project it to the world. Because I'll rather be judged by the world than to be silenced by it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to be silenced by the world because of opinions. I don't. And I don't care. Because I've realized over time that people's opinions and people's hate and all that, it can't stop you. Like, when God has called you to do something, no hater can stop God's favor. Y'all know that. And it can't stop you. It can't. Because you're going to have a whole bunch of people who support you, a whole bunch of people who need you, who need your story. When you understand that, you don't pay attention to it. It's like, okay, they don't like me. All right, cool. Trent, I don't like your videos. All right, cool. You took time out your day to write that, and it's not going to stop me from making videos. So, all right, cool. I focus on the 98% of the love, the 98% of the support, and that fuels me. And so I don't know why you're being fearful, but if it's dealing with judgment, realize they're going to judge you anyway. And you don't want to live your life knowing that there's something inside of you that needs to be given to the world to help other people, because I think that leads to depression. I think that leads to, I don't think that's good for your mental health at all. So get it out. And I don't have all the answers, man. I'm just sharing. Like I said, I don't. But I'm going to try to answer as many questions as I can and give you the best advice I can. Yeah, fear is I agree. Fear is the worst enemy. And like I said, the things that I feel fearful about, I go do. Period. It was a time where I was fearful to speak. Like, that's a relevant topic, because so many people ask somebody to go speak in front of people. They be like, nope. Why? Because the fear of being judged. Like, the fear of being judged is real. Like, we care so much about what people think. We care so much about what people think. In public speaking, like, that was a big fear of mine. Like, I was scared. And now Like I have no fear at all to speak in front of people, period. And it just came by me going to do it. Period. And I only needed one person to say, Trent, your message helped me. That's all that I needed. And from there, like that confidence grew. And I just was consistent over time. And now it's just second nature for me to come on here and talk to you guys for hours or whatever, or to stand in front of people and talk for hours. But that was never like, this wasn't like something I was like born confident with. Public speaking was a big fear of mine, probably the biggest fear. And so that helps me overcome other fears too, because I'm like, if I could get over my biggest fear, and I saw what like me getting over, speaking in front of people, how that is, transformed the lives of others through my story. Like there's nothing if that was my biggest fear, then everything else, I'm going to go attack it. That's from a physical standpoint. Like even if I'm scared to go hike, like a big mountain, I go do it. Because I know on the other side of fear is strength, is confidence, is growth, all these things on the other side of fear. So think about that. Even if you don't quote unquote succeed, right, at conquering whatever it is, understand that the attempt to try is more powerful than not trying at all. There's so much growth, so much change in the attempt to try something. It's not always accomplishment. See, that's the problem with, like, we judge our life by accomplishment. I accomplished this, or the accolades. Like we judge our life by that, and or we measure our life by that. Should I say? It's a better word to use. We measure our life by that, not realizing, yes, it's cool to accomplish things. I'm not saying that, but there's so much power in just attempting to do something, because you took a step. You walked through the door of fear, right? You overcame your insecurities, and even if you're not quote unquote successful, you're still progressing towards succeeding and overcoming that. And I think that's where the power is. So the quote that I always tell people is that there's power in the accomplishment, but there's even more power in the attempt to accomplish something. And so that's the thing. A lot of us, we never get in the ring to fight for our life. We never get in the ring to fight for our vision, to fight for our purpose, because we've already defeated ourselves before we even step in the ring. We already let fear tell us what's going to happen before we already step in the ring. And so you're never going to step in the ring of anything if you already told yourself you're going to lose, if you already tell yourself you're going to be defeated. So just step into the ring. I'm not telling you to win the fight today. Man, this is a message in itself. I'm not telling you to win the fight today. All I'm asking you to do is just step into the ring. Step into the ring. And when you step into the ring, you might get hit. You might get knocked down. It might not be pretty. But when you got God in your corner, you can always get back up. And eventually you're going to learn how to fight. Eventually you're going to learn how to fight for your purpose. Eventually you're going to learn how to fight for your relationship in a positive way. Eventually you're going to learn how to fight for your life in a positive way. So I want to challenge you guys today. That's the message today right there. I just want to challenge you. And if you're going to take this challenge, hit me up on Snapchat, Instagram. Here, press the like and the heart button, whatever you want to press. I want to challenge you just to step into the ring. And you might be saying, well, Trent, I'm not prepared. I'm not in shape to step into the ring. Like the opponent, whatever that opponent is, that opponent can be judgment. That opponent can be fear. That opponent could be your past. You might say that opponent is too strong for me to step into the ring. That opponent has been, I stepped into the ring before and that opponent defeated me. So now I'm not going to get back in the ring. I don't want a rematch with that opponent because it already defeated me. Step into the ring and keep stepping into the ring. Stay in there this time. Because last time that opponent might have beat you up, so you got out there and you say, you know what, I'm going to turn my back. A lot of times this happens, right? We start to live our purpose. We start to live our change. And what happens, right? People bring up our past and things aren't going right, or, it's not moving how we want it to move. It's not looking how we want it to look. So we stop. We step out the ring and we never get back in it. Life is a battle, man. From a spiritual standpoint, to a physical standpoint, to a mental standpoint. It's a battle. So if you step out of the ring, step back in it. And just tell yourself, eventually I'm going to win this fight. I might not win this round. I might not win the second round. But the thing about life is that you don't know how many rounds you got. Right? But I bet you it's more than 12. And the only way the fight ends is if you step out the ring. And then you stop fighting. All right? So it's time to let the opponent of fear, the opponent of failure, the opponent of drama, the opponent of haters, the opponent of your past, it's time to let all of those things stop defeating you. But the first step to overcoming is you stepping into the ring. What are you going to do about it? All right, let's get it.